here in the heart of a city that really is in love with distance running. We are just seconds away now from the start of this Women's World Half Marathon Championship, and it's underway. A truly world-class field out onto the streets of Copenhagen, and you can see there just how many people have turned out to support these elite runners. The masses to come, and the elite men still some 20-25 minutes away from taking their place on the course. But a wonderful sight here for any distance running fan, and it must be great for these elite women to be roared on by such a large and vociferous crowd. Gudetta just towards the right of picture. She won the Great North Run last year. And there's Renee Kalmer just on the right-hand side. 14th in the World Half Marathon Championships back in 2009. And we already have one or two casualties. I did notice as we look at the South African Kalmer leading with Gudetta just alongside her, Kaboo tucked in behind. I just noticed one or two walkers there at the back of that elite group. Running past the famous naval barracks here in Copenhagen. Copenhagen started out as a Viking fishing village founded in the 10th century and then became the capital of Denmark, I'm reliably informed, early in the 15th century. So Suad Ait Salem, the Algerian, 2:25 marathon runner. She's second from the left there with the lime green shorts and the white top. She's also towards the front, but you can see here Blom, 1:66 from Norway. She has a best of outside 75 minutes. So it's not too surprising that we see quite a few women adrift of this lead group. But the interesting thing here is that all of the big names are still right there at the front. The Castellet Star Fortress, one of the reasons why this is such a great city to visit in summer or winter. And we've actually been very lucky with the weather here, because we were reminded yesterday at the pre-race press conference by the organisers that this time, so a new twist in the 2-decade history of this event. And how refreshing is this from a European distance running perspective? It's great to see that there are athletes here not afraid to lead. And we have an Italian and a Croatian, followed by Japanese athlete in the form of the teenager Rea Iwade, and the Kenyans and the Ethiopians and the Eritreans just quite happy to sit in this pack at the moment and let Streneo lead just as she did last year. Just 15 minutes on the clock. Kaboo. Very comfortable looking athlete. 66.09 last year in the Iraq half marathon. Chirono just on the left of picture. Silver in the 10,000 meters in Moscow last year behind Tirunesh Dibaba. There's Kabaris. She was 4th in the Paris half marathon this year, and she won the Venice marathon last year. So great strength here among the Kenyans at the front. And just a reminder, if you're tuning into a World Half Marathon Championship for the first time, we're not just concerned here with the individual gold, silver and bronze. There are also team medals available. Each nation are allowed to start with a maximum of 5 runners. The times of the leading 3 are added together, and it's the cumulative time of the 3 best runners from each nation which go towards deciphering gold, silver and bronze. Straneo now just tucking in behind the quartet of Kenyans. I beg your pardon, quintet, because Kaptich is there, and so too is Ngugi. So all 5 of the Kenyans right at the front. We turn our attention to the men's race, and the big question everyone is asking, can the greatest half-marathon runner in history, Zerzené Tadesse of Eritrea, make it 6 of the best here in Copenhagen? 5 times he has conquered all in this, the event in which he also happens to be the reigning world record holder. His first win came back in 2006. As we just get a reminder as to how many nations are taking part here. 113 entrants from 47 countries. And Tadesse had his first win in 2006 and then won every year up to, but not including 2010, because a calf injury contributed to him losing for the first time since 2003. He finished second to the Kenyan Wilson Kiprop. Tadesse regained that title in the sweltering heat of Bulgaria in 2012. He's without doubt the greatest of all time, and he's the defending champion, but he's up against the only man to beat him to this title in the last 8 years, Wilson Kiprop, who's just been introduced to the crowd. City Centre announcer here has just given Zerzené Tadesse's CV an airing for the crowd. There is no doubt he's the greatest of all time, as Murayama, the leading non-African on the world standings this year. I think he's 26th, just inside 61 minutes. It remains to be seen with Tadesse whether he has maintained the form that took him to that quintet of title. We are about to find out. So the elite men's race is underway here in the sunshine of Copenhagen, and along with it begins the journey of 30,000 club runners and fun runners. They may well finish quite some distance behind the likes of Zerzené Tadesse and Wilson Kiprop, but a wonderful sight here, and great to see these world-class distance runners benefiting from huge crowds out here, enjoying the atmosphere and the spectacle on a sunny Saturday lunchtime. Well, it will be fascinating to see what type of race emerges here. Meanwhile, we will keep rocking and rolling between the men's and the women's race, because you can see here that the elite women have something close to half an hour on the clock. And I just saw in the back of shot, the last time we saw the elite women, only Christelle Dornay and at that time Valérie Straneo of Europe were still in the mix. No sign of Straneo, and there is Valérie Straneo, and she is just having to work hard alongside Christelle Dornay. She just glances over, so the Italian and the French woman have been dropped, and so too Alameu of Ethiopia. They're not completely detached. You can see them just in the back of shot as we look at the front of the elite group in this women's race, but the team tactics here by the Japanese athletes, just dominating things in the early stages, and at the very least, I guess, keeping out of trouble. Lambda Sam is tucked in behind the 3 Kenyans, the 3 Japanese athletes, I beg your pardon. Interesting competitor, Lambda Sam, representing Spain now He's got a best of just inside 61.5 minutes, and he certainly has the reputation and the talent. This is a glimpse of the lead group in the women's race. Stroneo and Dornay for Italy and France have become detached. And look at the quality here. 32.14 at 10K. And that is around about 68-minute pace, which is pretty good going. We may expect to see that increase in the second half of the race. And what a race we have in prospect, because it's not just about the gold, silver and bronze. It's also about the team title as well. The best of the non-African performers over the half marathon distance so far this year. Lovely and light on his feet, and if you are a club runner or a fun runner, it is just amazing to watch how easy these athletes make this fast pace look. For the mere mortals among us, it would almost be flat out, but it just looks so smooth when you're watching athletes of this caliber. Natural talent, yes, but a huge number of miles have been put into making it look as easy as it appears on our television screens here. Contrast in the noise there. The women now into some of the crucial parts of this race. And what a great performance this is by the Kenyans. All 5 of their women right up there. We're back with the men. They've gone through 5K in 14:30, which equates to around about 61.5 minutes. By mere mortal standards, that is incredible, but all of these men in this lead group will be fairly comfortable with that kind of pace, and you suspect it will take a little injection at some point to really start to whittle this sizable field down. Kamwaror, the World Junior cross-country champion back in Punta Umbria, leads. He's got a not too shabby PB of 2:06 for the marathon. He's twice finished third in Berlin, so he's at the front at the moment. And we have a fairly unusual situation. We've got this lead pack split across the road, running in 2 different groups. Now, the reason this is quite interesting is that if you're a regular runner of half marathons and marathons, you'll be aware that you follow the blue line. It's the most economic route to the finish line, but a fair number of those athletes who've now rejoined that main group were over on the left-hand side of the course, not taking the tightest line. And most of the big names are right there in that group. So when will we see a move, and who will it be from? These men are so fast that even with only 20 minutes on the clock, we're over a quarter of the way through this race. I did put it to him that one of the reasons Tadesse was beaten by him in Nanning in 2010 was because he had a calf issue, and he said, yes, but a race is a race, and I know what it takes to beat him. So the men's race, still a long way to go. Now we rejoin the elite women. And Gudeta has become isolated. She won the Great Ethiopian Run last autumn, third in the Rome to Ostia half marathon this year, but she is in no man's land, as it were. She has become detached, and that means we have 4 Kenyans away and clear at the head of the field. Josephat Boit is alongside Chemozin at the front. Boit, the Kenyan who now represents the United States. Cheprot just in that group as well. 15th in the world this year over the half marathon. The Ethiopians perhaps not with the individual big names that you may hope. In fact, interestingly enough, only Haile Gebrselassie has won this World Half Marathon title for Ethiopia. That was a little while back now. I think it was in 2001. So the Ethiopians, arguably with their best chance in this race coming if they manage to secure yet another team medal. There's a safer 5:29, and alongside him 5:20, Zerzane Tadesse in that lead group, aiming for his 6th global title over the half marathon distance. Well, a lot of excitement to see whether Tadesse can go for the 6th title, but there's real quality in that elite men's field, and he may well not have it all his own way. And as I say that, Tadesse has gone to the front once again alongside Kamworor, and on the near side, Wilson Kiprop. He does have a habit of enjoying going to the front, Zerzane Tadesse. He was leading the Olympic 10,000 metres in London and then drifted out of the medals in the sprint. Although he was the first Eritrean to get an Olympic medal. That was when he finished 3rd behind Kenenisa Bekele in 2004. Oh, and there have been some stumblers there. One or two of the Kenyans. I just noticed Kamworor motioned to Zerzane Tadesse to move across so that one or two of the athletes could go and get their drinks. Now, nobody went down, but there were definitely some stumblers there, and it looked as though it was the rich red strip of Kenya. So no problem for Wilson Kiprop, he's there. I'm just watching for Kamworor. I think he's on the left-hand side, just now behind Zerzane Tadesse, and it just shows you how careful these world-class athletes have to be. Mo Farah took a tumble in the New York half marathon some month or so ago. Now, 1:56 is Lucy Kabu, and she has been dropped. So Chirono is still there. So too Ngui and Sally Chepyego. So Kabu, arguably the strongest of the 5 Kenyans in this race, is just struggling here a little bit. Gudetta desperately trying to hang on for the Ethiopians. And she really does have to make sure she can give it everything towards the finish, because the Ethiopians will be hoping to get on the podium in the team competition. But we're into the last, 12 or 13 minutes or so of this elite women's race. They went through 15K in 48:08, so that's around about 68, maybe just inside 68 minute pace. And with Lucy Kabu having been broken by this lead trio, we are at the moment looking at a Kenyan 1, 2, 3, but at this stage it doesn't look as though Lucy Kabu will be among the medalists. Zerzane Tadesse is leading. Kamworor is there. Adola for Ethiopia. And has Wilson Kiprop been dropped? No, there he is. Kiprop was just out of camera range there. He is in this group, but Tadesse is winding this pace up and trying to assert his dominance on this race as they're now over the halfway stage. 5.96 is Stephen Mokoka. He can't be ruled out. 5.32 to Kaylee, 6th in the Addis half marathon. Gebri Selassie, not highly, but Gourmet, 5.19, the Eritrean. Eritrea aiming for yet another team silver. Well, he hasn't won inside 60 minutes, Zerzaneto Dessay, in a half marathon since 2012, but he is the master of peaking at the right time, especially when it comes to this race. So Kiprop is definitely still in that group, but he's now towards the back, and it's arguably his compatriot Jeffrey Kamworor with the white trainers who look slightly more comfortable perhaps than Kiprop. Back to this women's race. Sally Kaptic is in second place with Ngugi in third, but out front it's the Moscow silver medalist Gladys Chirono. This is Lucy Kaboo. She's in fourth place. She's just off the back of the pace, but out front is Gladys Chirono. Can she upgrade her Moscow silver over 10,000 metres to gold here on the streets of Copenhagen? The elite men with almost 40 minutes on the clock. Zerzaneto Dessay has once or twice gone to the front, and the last time we saw him, there was a definite bid to break this group of athletes. Kiprop was off the back of that lead group, but has got back on terms. Kamworor is now leading, and Sege has his compatriots Samuel Sege. Silver last year over 10,000 metres behind the legendary Ethiopian Tiranish Dibaba on the track. But as Ngugi and Kaptic battle for the silver and bronze, the gold is destined to go the way of Gladys Chirono. Coming in now to huge applause from the crowd. It has been a race that she has timed to perfection. She gave us a glimpse as to what she can produce on the roads over the half marathon, winning the Prague race last year inside 67 minutes. But this has been a masterful, masterful performance here from Gladys Chirono. We saw her class on the track in Moscow last year when she got on the podium, but now she's doing it over a different distance on a different surface, and it very much looks as though she's going to upgrade that silver from Moscow to gold here in Copenhagen. 100,000 people lining the routes of the Danish capital. Their flags are waving in respect of a great, great athlete and a new global champion. Gladys Chirono has without a doubt taken a step up in class here today. Many thought that her compatriot Lucy Kaboo would be the one to potentially take this title for Kenya, but it's Chirono who's going to come away with the honours. Brilliant run from Mary Ngugi to come through for second place. We knew that she was in form after she won the world's best 10K in San Juan earlier this year by over a minute. But the applause will now rise again, because Gladys Chirono has entered the last few hundred metres. She's tired. She's arguably slowing down just a fraction, but it doesn't matter. This has been a brilliant performance. And Gladys Chirono, the silver medalist in the 10,000 metres in Moscow last year, upgrades to gold here in Copenhagen. A wonderful performance. A great silver for Mary Ngugi. A wonderful embrace for the two compatriots. And in a moment, they will complete and celebrate the Kenyan 1, 2, 3. And how will it turn out in the men's race? So, Jeffrey Kamworor for Kenya. Big, strong, powerful performer. World Junior cross-country gold in Punta Umbria. And Zerzené Tadesse is really having to hang on here. It looks as though Kiprop's challenge has faded. Kamworor leads. Samuel Sege, the Eritrean, is in second place. Adola, who won the Marrakesh half marathon earlier this year, he's in third for Ethiopia. Tadesse is not beaten yet, but he is clearly going through a bad patch, and he's in fourth. Well, Jeffrey Kamworor has got great range. He's a 2:06 marathon runner. Twice he's finished third in Berlin, as well as being a World Junior cross-country champion. But he's got Samuel Sege for company. And how amazing it would be for Sege to finally get himself an individual global medal. He's had World Half Marathon team medals before with Eritrea, but twice he's finished fifth in this race in 2009 and 2010. Fifth in the World Cross in 2010 as well. But here he is in a podium position at the moment, and there's a definite injection of pace there by Jeffrey Kamworor. The Kenyan is trying to pull away from the rest of the field, and now it's Goye Adola of Ethiopia, who just allows 1 or 2 meters to open up between himself and the Eritrean and the Kenyan out front. Tadesse's in fourth place, and maybe if Adola starts to tire, Tadesse can try and wind him in and get himself back towards the lead duo. Wilson Kiprop appears as though he's going through a little bit of a bad patch. Five golds and 1 silver. He is already the greatest half marathon runner in history. And we haven't necessarily seen Tadesse's best in the last 18 months. But if he could somehow work his way back up to this group and get himself a medal, it would be a performance almost equal to those 5 individual titles. He's not making an inroad on that gap at the moment, and it would seem, the way the race is panning out at this stage, as though maybe his best opportunity for getting on the podium is if Adola, the Ethiopian in third, begins to tire and Tadesse just starts to smell an opening. Is right up there with Kamworor. Zerzené Tadesse is in fourth place, and there's another Eritrean just in the distance behind Zerzené Tadesse. So this great team competition that has been dominated by the Kenyans over the years. 2 titles for the Ethiopians, 2 for South Africa and 1 each for Italy and Tanzania. The Eritreans have had 7 successive team silvers. Could this be an opportunity for them to finally be on top of the team podium? But Geoffrey Kamworor seriously means business here. He's managed to get away from Adola and also Samuel Sege. And the dynamic for silver and bronze has changed, because where it looked as though Adola was struggling, he now has moved into second place, and it's Samuel Sege who's in third. Well inside the last 10 minutes now for the leaders. A look at the effort and the drive from Zerzené Tadesse. You have to admire his determination. He hasn't given up here. This race has not panned out as he would have hoped and maybe expected, but he's giving it absolutely everything here. It is the performance of a champion, if not in terms of the position he's occupying, but by the heart with which he is really having a go. Has he left himself enough to try and come back to get yet another medal? Well, Geoffrey Kamworor has proven himself on 2 surfaces here. A brilliant World Junior Gold in cross-country at Punta Umbria back in 2011. We've seen him on the roads of Berlin and Tokyo producing very, very good times in the marathon. And could he... The last time split we had gave us an indication that this is going to be a sub 60-minute performance. It is possible that Kamworor has tired in the closing stages. We've seen him looking over his shoulder just to check where Guy Adola is and whether he's closing. .56.13 at 20k. This is really, really quick. An excellent performance. It is going to be well inside 60 minutes for Geoffrey Kamworor. Still looking over his shoulder. He's getting tired. He knows he's closing in here on arguably the biggest win of his career. Yes, he is a global junior champion at cross country, but this is a senior title, one that his highly decorated compatriots have taken in the past. Turgat's won it twice, Paul Koskai's been victorious, Martin Lell, Paul Kirui. Some great, great names in Kenyan distance running have conquered this race, and Geoffrey Kamworor, at just 21 years of age, looks as though he is joining them. What a battle there's going to be for the silver and the bronze between Guy Adola and Samuel Sege. But it's Geoffrey Kamworor who is now moving through some of the back markers in the female elite race. And he now is reinvigorated by the noise, the reception and the applause from the crowd. Gladys Chirono took the women's title just a few moments ago. And it looks as though it is going to be double gold and double delight for Kenya as Geoffrey Kamworor comes round, and the applause of everyone who's gathered here at the finish line. What a huge, huge talent this young man is. His second global title, the junior cross-country crown, but this is a senior performance, and this announces his arrival as one of the greats. A brilliant, brilliant performance, just outside 59 minutes. He has demolished a world-class field, and finally, after twice finishing fifth in previous editions of this race, Samuel Sege gets the silver. $1 hung on gamely for the bronze. And as Geoffrey Kamworor bounds back down the course, Zerzené Tadesse passes him. Fourth this time for the greatest half marathon runner in history. He's produced an effort of real class there. The first time he's run inside 60 minutes for almost 2 years. He gave it absolutely everything, and he may not have finished first this time, but he's once again demonstrated to Tadesse that he's got the heart and the drive of a champion. He's lost that with dignity, but I'm sure he'll be delighted for his compatriot Samuel Sege. And I just wonder whether the Eritreans have taken their first global team title after 7 successive silvers. Geoffrey Kamworor, at 21 years of age, has just shown us there is a glittering career ahead of him on the roads of global distance running. And what an achievement that would be. $1 given the same time to Tadesse, 59.37. No disgrace there for the Eritrean. Wilson Kiprop came home. Well, a wonderful race. All the talk before today was about a duel between the men who took gold and silver in China in 2010, Wilson Kiprop and Zerzené Tadesse. But it's Geoffrey Kamworor who has finished here as the champion, 21 years of age, the fastest time in the world this year. That was sheer class. What a wonderful race it's been. Only the second time this event has been moved to a springtime slot as opposed to its normal running in the autumn. And it really seems as though this has paid off. It certainly looked, from the body language perspective, as though he did have something special today at the halfway stage. The quality of Eritrea's performance, they only missed the Kenyan team record by 2 seconds. Geoffrey Kamworor is the world half marathon champion. What a performance, so strong, so determined, and still only 21 years of age. Samuel Sege finally gets a silver after twice finishing fifth, $1 the bronze, and it's fourth this time for Zerzené Tadesse.